Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of Looking Glass with Sara, Barton, and Mary Porter. I want to have Sara say a few words here and sort of, put us in the trajectory where we need to go with this discussion today, because I know there's some things that are on her mind. So go ahead, Sara.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Sara Barton. And again, it's an honor to be here with my sis, Mary Porter, just sharing a little bit about us. And one of the things after our first episode we did, we were thinking, well, maybe we should do another one on mindfulness, and we were going to do that. And then, of course, it changed. And I'm sitting there, and of course, Spirit comes, and there's certain words that I think of that I need to bring to attention, because that's just what Spirit wants. And one of them, and I called Mary after I was thinking about this certain word, and that word is worthy. Where did it come from? What does it mean? How does it affect people? So it's just one of those words that I think we need to discuss. And so I brought it to Mary's attention. And so that's what we're going to be discussing today, is that word worthy. And so hopefully, and that we just share what we think, and so that's why we're here today.
So I did a little research into that word, and what I find more is it's not the word itself, it's how people project it. Again, we have the projections, let me try to get this thing straightened out here. I don't know how it looks on the thing. But what I see, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, now the word worthy itself is not, it's basically how you measure yourself in comparison to other people. But when the word,
you have decisive on there.
Yeah, I know, but this is where it turns into an emotionally upsetting projection, we'll say. Is people use the term I'm not worthy. Sometimes it's the projection of context, how they're using it. Now, whether you're worthy or not is it's not up to us to decide. That is something that's decided in nature through your DNA, what you're worthy of, and we can't, as human beings, we shouldn't be trying to decide whether you, me, or they are worthy. We just need to go on with our life and living the way we do. But when you take these positive words like worthy, and you turn them into a divisive sentence or a divisive projection, and when you do that, your intention is to cause disagreement and hostility. And see, I've had people tell me that they didn't think they were worthy and all this other stuff, but that's a projection of their insecurity, trying to draw out how we value them. And see, and that's not up to us. And being forced into, I guess you'd call it acknowledging their there we go, the feelings again. We're being pushed and forced into this type of judgment, whether someone's worthy or not. Well, it's not up to us. You know, these are, you know, whether you're worthy or not is part of natural law, you know, according to your deeds and actions in your life. You know, that's what deems you worthy. It's not up to another human being or a group of people to decide whether you're worthy or not. That's, you know, totally, you know, it's like, you know, a group of people saying, well, your hair should be blonde, you know, when your hair is brown. Well, that's neither here nor there, you know, and it goes along with being worthy. You know, being worthy is neither here nor there. But when you project it, see, this is the thing, is that people project it and they put you in this position to make a judgment, and that's not our place. You know, we don't make the judgments. You know, it's all, you know, it's all natural law. We can't, you know, we can only be here to help, and it's not helping when we judge people.
Right, right. And one of the things I like when we refer to is nature, animals, and you don't see a rabbit going into the forest going, am I worthy enough to go into this forest? You know, they don't carry that judgment. They don't carry that projection. So we, you know, and again, that projection is given to us when we're born. People will judge us because of our parents or our grandparents, and so they've already judged our worthiness when we're born, and so we carry that. And because I think one of the goals is to try to guide people on how they can find that spark of life, because they are that spark of life. It has nothing to do whether they're worthy and they can't do it. And so that's why it became an issue with me, that word, because it can be used in a negative way. Because when somebody says you're not worthy of it, then how does that affect you? Well, you're no good, you can't do anything, you know, so it has that negative meaning to it, even though the word worthy is supposed to mean, you know, you're good and you're apt to, you know, succeed and, you know, all those positive things. But yet when somebody says you're not worthy, then it has the opposite. And that's not right. So the word worthy should just be eliminated. To me, it was just used as, you know.
It's not a bad word. It's bad when people use it as a device against you.
Right.
See,
right.
This is the, you know, and this is the, you know, this is the problem with the English language. You know, it all can be turned and used divisive, like a weapon against you. To either to force you into making a judgment about somebody else, or forcing a judgment about yourself. And that's when people make these things divisive. That's why they call it spelling, you know. I'm not kidding, you know, it all, you know, this is all part of, you know, the things that humans made, you know, and you know, the English language, the Lashutsi language, our language was taught to us by nature itself. So, you know, when you have anything man-made, it's bound to fail at some point, including the language, including their definitions. And I mean, these things are all, you know, we talked about belief and putting all your beliefs in this box. Well, you know, it's just, energy that's contained and not able to flow. And that goes against natural law because all energy flows. And you take these words like, this word worthy, should have no negative connotations to it. I mean,
Right.
it's just a positive, it is a positive, measure, but it's in the context that you're being measured.
Right. Right.
It's in the context, and when you talk about context, you're talking about projections again. And when people have these words and they use them in these contexts to be divisive, to cause disagreement, between yourself and that judgment, or other people and you, because they've heard this divisive judgment against you. We aren't here to judge each other. We don't, none of us are better than the next guy. Our actions are what we're here being judged upon. Not our language, not what we say about other people. It's it's your positive action.
Right. Right. Right.
And words, words can be twisted. I used to do it myself. When you say, when somebody says they're going to do something, and they possibly, in your mind, in my mind, it's almost an impossible task for them. And I say, oh, well, good luck. I'm projecting, my judgment about that action, which I've learned in the long run. It's not right to judge.
Right. Right.
We're not here to judge. There's a difference between, judging and acknowledging. We can acknowledge a lot of things, but we're not here to judge anybody. We're not better. I'm not better than anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, it's because we talk about, how people, they need to start getting in touch with their spark of life, and their, so how do they do that? Well, they just have to be open to nature, but it's so hard to get through to these people when they have been so damaged by these certain words and certain judgments, that it's so embedded into them. And it's like, how, and it is a struggle to try to, point them in the right direction on how they can get in touch with that, their spark of life and the higher self, and get beyond the third dimensional colonial thinking, and it's really sad to see that all these people have been damaged by certain words and judgments right when they're born.
Well, that's why we're doing these videos, is so that from another point of view, I'm not saying we're right or we're wrong. I'm just saying we have a point of view that comes from, our plant teachers and from nature, that I'm willing to, I'm going out and, I'm going out on a limb here, and, going outside of my comfort zone to educate in this way. But I keep seeing and hearing these, these people, they're suffering from, this lack of another point of view.
Right.
There's so many truths surrounding one truth, but then if you have, a truth projected to you as an insult, like, I don't think you're worthy of knowing this, you're projecting a judgment on other people.
Right. Right.
You have taken a good positive measure of a human being and twisted it into a divisive statement that it's gonna cause hostility and disagreement, and it to begin with. This is, again, we have to take responsibility for our words and our actions. We got to understand that this, a lot of people are suffering from, personal traumas that we don't know anything about. And, we might say something that just injures them even further. So we have to really recognize how we're using our words. Are we using them in a divisive manner? Are we purposely creating disagreement and hostility? Are we purposely leading people to believe something is negative about them when we don't even really know? We only really positively know about ourselves.
Right.
Even as close as I am to a whole lot of people, I can only personally say for myself, the only person that I can judge is myself, and it goes for the same for everybody. The only person who can judge you is yourself, because you're the only one that knows all of your truths.
Right.
Can't, taking good words like worthy and, good luck, because I did it, I'm guilty too. I used words in a divisive manner as well. And this is why I can say, these divisive mannerisms, these words, and how we project onto other people, it's, we have to stop doing these things.
Right. Oh, I agree. But it's just so interesting how when I'm sitting in my own mind, that it comes up like that. And it's like, okay, well, then I need to discuss this with Mary, because it's obviously something I see and something that's, really unsettling to me, because there are so many good things that people can do if they just, get past these judgments that people put on them, and look inside and see the value that they have, that they feel, and that if they can't find it, then I meditate, find something, sit in nature. It's so important. It's just so important when these people are like, well, I don't feel worthy of whatever, I don't deserve this, I don't. So it's just that self-negative talk that was projected onto them, and they believe it. And so it's like, when you and I do these, hopefully, and it may make some people like, what the heck are they talking about? Well, that's okay. That's fine. But it's real, it's our truth, it's my truth, this is how I see things. And it took me many, many, many years to get to where I'm like, yes, this is my truth, this is what I see, and this is what I'm going to share, and that's why we're doing this. So yeah, it can be frustrating sometimes, because you see the struggle in people and there's nothing you can really do about it.
No.
And it's just like, I learn a lot. I learn a lot, but it's like, oh gosh, okay, spirit, here we go again.
Yeah, well, that's it. It gets it gets really, it gets really tiresome, to have to have this catcher's mitt up, that every time a negative projection, whether people know they're doing it to you or not, people do it.
Right.
I mean, just, walking across the parking lot to go in the store, someone might look at you and prejudge you because of the clothes you wear. People judge each other habitually. There's a thing about accepting, and when you become accepting of, people, no matter what clothes they have on or who they pray to or how they pray or what they think, it really changes your outlook, and it changes the energy around you when you can just, I see people and I smile and appreciate that, they have the good sense to be breathing in and breathing out today, because a lot of people don't even, there's a lot of people dying today, and,
Right.
when you can just start appreciating the, the little things about people, because I've been, I'm real guilty of, not wanting to be around people because I have this judgment against my own judgment against people. And once I stopped doing that and just
Mhm.
start appreciating people, the first thing I do when I see people, that are up walking around and look like they have their health to me, and instead of that judgment of what they're wearing or, how they might be thinking, I just I just project my appreciation that they're a human being and they're still breathing in and breathing out.
Mhm.
You take away that immediate judgment, and it has to start with you yourself.
Right. Right.
I catch myself constantly. It isn't easy. It isn't easy to constantly account for, is this right or wrong? But for right now, all human beings should be, really examining how they're thinking about themselves and about others right now. Because
Right.
these
Yeah.
are our projections. And like I said, people do this habitually. They'll look at we aren't objects to be looked at, whether we're good or bad. We're human beings, and we're here to be appreciated. You
Mhm.
know, um, this,
Well, I know that when I, when I think of something or think of someone and what they're doing, what, and it bothers me, and I place my judgment, well, what do they think they're doing? Why, then I have to look and go, okay, well, if I'm thinking that about this person, maybe that's what they're thinking about me. And and I have to kind of like, well, okay, I don't want to be around people, because I don't want to, it's like, okay, well, all right, don't, you have to just rethink things. And that's just for me personally, and this morning I came out here and meditated, and I meditated with the throat singing bowl because, I wanted to make sure that, you know, I don't intentionally offend anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do, and so after I got done meditating and I played the singing bowl, all this phlegm started coming up and I started coughing and I started, trying to get it out. And I'm like, well, that's a lot of bullshit that I was holding in my throat. So, but see, that's how I interpret it. And after I got it all out, I felt good, So it cleared it all out so that maybe my words will, won't offend anybody because that's not my intention. But yeah, it's just really interesting how things work. And anyway, I had to share that with you. But yeah, that singing bowl just vibrated all that, flam and whatever else was gonna be coming up during this talk. But but it was all good, and I just, okay, well, let's heal that and let's bless that and let's move on. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just real interesting.
Yeah, as far as the word worthy, you have to just look at the context in which it's used.
Right.
Um, and to begin with, I was sitting here this morning thinking about the word worthy, and to be honest, for someone to bring up whether you're worthy or not is it's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter, because what the decision or what weighs you to be worthy or not is not something a human being can put on you. It's what nature,
Right.
how nature values you. It's whether
Right.
you're worthy or not. See, people turn it into a divisive communication, which it can be harmful to people. You might present it to someone who's very weak in their truth about themselves, and they're feeling very vulnerable, and they could be depressed from feeling not worthy, and you've just thrown something on their plate that's not even theirs. It's not even your business to judge upon somebody, and then you've put this person in a tailspin, and then their sadness becomes your fault. And nature has this way of balancing things out. If you do something to somebody, it's going to come back to you, good or bad.
Right.
This is why I say, examine how
Right. Right.
this goes hand in hand with mindfulness. Don't take a reactionary stand. Leave it into a neutral position until you understand, till you've taken the time to understand what context it was used in, and what the intentions was for the use of this word. We have to use our intelligence. These time for just be reactionary. The only thing you really need to be reactionary over is if you touch something hot and it's going to burn you. You need to react right away. But if someone says words to you, you don't. This is a learned behavior. It's taught from trauma for us to react.
Right.
And when we react without thinking about it, we may make choices that are not the correct response, because
Right.
we weren't mindful enough to take a moment, and we just decided to react because it's a decision we make. The reaction, how we react to, it takes a lot of practice, and unfortunately you got to be around people who project crap on you, so you don't, so you can practice not reacting. It's hard, it's hard to get over these behaviors that that no longer serve us correctly.
Right.
These are all learned behaviors, reactions. Oh, well, the only thing you really need to react to is, physical harm. You don't need to immediately react to words.
Right.
We've got, people have got a whole lot of things confused because they're not connected to nature. So they have this confusion.
Right. Yeah.
This is what mindfulness, and I have to, stress to anyone who always feels like a victim, or, always feels like, they don't belong. There's a lot of information on mindfulness. We need to stop being reactive. When people get sad and depressed, it's because they're reacting to what they heard. We aren't, we need to stop being reactive this way. It's not productive. It's not going to help anything. We have to be mindful, understand where it's coming from,
Right.
we have any kind of response. I mean, and that's what it should be. We should not be reacting. We should be responding in a responsible manner, not react. There's got enough reactors out there right now that's causing a big ruckus in the world. The last thing
Right.
that nature needs
And
is
all
for
I
us
see
to
is
react
that
to words.
when people are right, and all they're doing is when they react to it, they're throwing out the same feelings that they, so it's just this vicious circle, and just stop, take a few deep breaths, and yeah, I think one of the things that we really do need to touch base on is being mindfulness, yeah, and that's a tough one.
It's really,
Being mindful.
it really is switching gears to a different concept of thinking, because that's what mindfulness is. That's what reactionary is. It's all concepts in our mind of what life is. Um, all the animals are extremely mindful. you know Extremely. I look at all the animals and I can every single one of them are mindful. Even a mouse, they're real mindful. And we can learn a lot from what we need to react to and what we don't need to react to. And the first rule of thumb is don't react to words. If your hand isn't burning, don't pull it away. That's that's what reactions should be. It should be pulling your hand away from the fire if it's burning, not when someone says a word to you. That's that just if you're feeling something, if you're feeling emotions from a word, that just really is pointing out where you need some healing.
Right,
Yeah.
and exactly, and also that when someone does that to you and you're reacting to it, and they're absorbing that energy, they got a reaction off you, which is an energy. So you just fed them that what they wanted, whether they realize it or not. To me, they do realize what they're doing. But they want to, it's like that spirit eater, they want a little bit, and I'm going to upset you, and I'm going to get you to get angry, or I'm going to get you to react to this so I can feel good, so I can feed off that energy. And so it leaves you feeling like crap and upset, and then so you got to do whatever to get back on your feet. But yeah, it's just people eating that energy. They want that energy, and that they'll, through words or actions or whatever, they want your energy to make them feel good. And yeah, it's not a pleasant
Yeah,
way.
well, on the same hand, once you start getting into the habit of not being reactive, because certain people will I can tell you from experience, certain people will keep trying to piss you off over and over and do these things. I have it happen to me a lot, because I used to be extremely reactionary, extremely explosively reactionary.
Well, yeah.
And then it takes years. It takes years to condition yourself away from that behavior, because again, being reactionary is a learned behavior. It was taught to you by trauma. And everything that is a learned behavior can be unlearned. It can be unlearned by replacing it with something healthy. Understand, if you don't understand what someone just said to you and you felt like, they were saying, that they were saying something negative, connotations in a judgment to you, you can politely say, excuse me, could you explain to me what you mean?
Mhm.
A lot of times that just having them say again, they, correct themselves. Because again, if they are a person who uses reactionary force on people, then when you turn around and ask them to explain what they mean, that's not the reaction they wanted. They wanted you to be upset. They wanted your heart to jump. They want, and in doing this, they self-correct. Because a lot of people, they don't even know they're doing this. They don't even understand their actions against you. But when you ask them to clarify, can I hear that again? I didn't quite understand you.
Mhm.
They tend to, what I have noticed is people tend to self-correct. And not only do they self-correct on you, but if they've been doing this to somebody else, knowingly or unknowingly, now they know that it's been noticed. And they tend to stray away from that behavior, on their own.
Right.
Because even though they don't understand what they're doing, their spirit knows right from wrong. We all know right from wrong when we're born. That's something like hair and skin and your organs and everything that grows in you before you even enter this world. We know right from wrong.
Right. Right.
That's, that part is, the most important part of these, using these words as devices against each other. That's just, I don't
Right.
care what color your skin is. All of us are human beings, just like all trees are trees and all grass is grass. All of us human beings are human beings, aside from the color of our skin and what we think and how we believe. We're all human beings and we all must respect each other in that way. And that means
Right.
that means not sabotaging people unknowing, because they don't know something. You sabotage their thinking or you sabotage their walk of life. Literally, I've seen it. I've been a victim of it. That's not right. Nature has plans for each and every one of us, and using these this divisive language to harm or hurt or even have somebody step off of their own path, that becomes our wrong in life. So understanding these, the way you say things to people, and understanding that there's a divisive, harmful way that they can be projected onto people, this thinking and these judgments, and that's just not our place. We're here to, we're all
Right.
here to help each other and to uplift each other. We aren't here to hurt each other, and people need to just stop doing that.
Right. 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 And again, the mindfulness, the mindfulness of when something like that happens, just take that little moment and be mindful of where you are, at this moment. Don't react, to that. Just be mindful of it. And again, like you said, find clarity in it. Ask them to clarify,
Can you write it
please
down in
clarify that
triplicate?
statement.
Can you write that down for me?
Write it down 100 times,
Give that to me.
Oh my God.
But that's really, that's really, I think, is the most important, you know, thing that needs to get across to people is, consider how you're saying things to people. You might not understand that you're using words in a divisive manner. This is where mindfulness comes in. Be mindful of your intentions,
Right.
what you're saying to people. It's
When you say that, we went to Bend, and we were talking, getting into talk, Roy and I and Amy and her partner, Emily, we were talking spiritually and about spiritual things and some of the topics like this. And I was trying to explain, thinking, and I would say, colonial way of thinking, non-Indian thinking, and Roy's over there like white man thinking. Can't do that, Roy. And here he's 100% white, whiter than white, and so I'm like, okay, well, this is where, and you see that, and you have to kind of like, okay, well, we got to be careful on how we say things, and just so being mindful at that moment on how that is going to, offend or get a reaction off of somebody. And that's not what I was trying to do. But it was like a learning. It was like you see these things unfold. And so I discussed it with Roy, and I says, well, maybe the next time we just say colonial way of thinking instead of the white man way. But anyway,
hey, there's that kind of thinking in every race, though. I'm telling you,
right, right.
It's
Because then I ended up
essential
saying, well,
thing.
I'm half Irish, and I got Irish and German and all these. So I found myself kind of justifying things just to kind of like, okay, well, oh my God. Oh, it was so funny after I started thinking about it, but it was like, oh my gosh. So, being mindful of what comes out of your mouth.
Well, it's all, I chalk a lot of things up. I've worked really hard on myself not to be, prejudiced, because I was extremely prejudiced against white people until I was about 20. I mean, extremely. And I was just repeating whatever I heard,
Right, right.
And I've come to know that it's not the color of your skin that is irritating or not irritating, or you're thinking. It's your spiritual evolution, where you are in, do you understand your own spirituality? Do you understand what you're doing in this world? It's those things, it's those things that become offensive. It's
right.
not the white. I mean, I know people from all walks of life that are, just as ugly and prejudiced as they come.
Right.
So it's
right.
not just one, it's not just the white man. I mean, there's still a lot of, there's a lot of Native people from all over the world that have these, type of unevolved,
right.
Spiritual attributes that, and I have a lot of white people try to, apologize and things for, and, I don't, like I told one friend of mine yesterday, I don't accept apologies. I don't want to hear it. I want to see that you're not doing those same things. I want your behavior to change. That will be apology enough. And that's really, words are, without actions to back them up, they mean nothing.
Right. Right.
you know So,
Yeah.
in context, and it's like, it's like everything, anything can be taken out of context and, made to be, a harmful statement. Like I used to say, good luck, and didn't mean it,
Mhm.
it's these things, it's your intentions. It's the,
Right.
it's the intention you have behind your projection. And if you're projecting something, I've made it a practice to, to only project. If I'm projecting something, I only want to project goodness, love, and understanding. That is my
Mhm.
total intention. um,
Right.
if somebody takes it
Right.
another way, well,
Right.
that
Right. Well, it's
that's on
spiritual
them.
integrity.
It's their intelligence. You
Right.
got to
Right.
remember, with understanding these things too, you have to respect your ancestors by understanding that these things are out of context. These things were said to hurt my spirit. When you understand those things and don't react because you understand, you're holding your ancestry up to great respect. And this is what we need to do. We need to stop reacting, take time to understand what what the projection was, what the intention was, and then have a response. Don't have a reaction. Respond, but don't react.
Right.
Response is the way you deal with these things that are divisive, these words that are divisive, because they're after a reaction. And if you don't give them the reaction and you give them a
Mhm.
response, it becomes confusing. And
Right.
then they
Right.
have to
Yeah.
re-examine their own self, and like I said, some people don't even realize that this is what they're doing, that they're using words and phrases out of context, using them as devices against other people to cause discord. That's why you respond instead of react. That response is, the responsible thing to do.
Mhm.
Especially now, there's just, um, there's so many people, in this world today who have so many spiritual injuries. They can't even, they don't even know it's just, spiritual injuries. These, they watch the news and, just seeing the things that are happening in the world can cause post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mhm.
I mean, choose wisely what type of, information you let your mind have. If you're a sad person, maybe you shouldn't be watching the news.
Right.
Because those, all the news, a lot of this program TV is exactly that. It's programming. They're creating a response. They're triggering a response in millions of people. When what were reactions. And when people respond to those, news stories, I have people asking me, "Oh, did you see that in the news? Did you see that?" No, I did not.
Right. Right.
No.
Right.
And and because they brought it up to me, now I'll have to look this subject up. Because
Right.
I want to
Right.
have a response. I don't want to have a reaction. And this is,
Mhm.
this is this is the adult way to deal with these things.
Right.
Okay, so somebody brought it up to me, so I'm going to have to look at it now, but I will, so,
Right. Right.
um, you know, that's the really important thing to understand about, divisive words and phrases. understand what they are, and understand what the person meant by saying it to you. Clarify the judgment if that's what it was. Sometimes people don't want to repeat it because it was a judgment. They only wanted
Exactly.
your reaction. They didn't want your response.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It's
at least
context.
today, you and I, will do that, instead of slapping them across the face like we did when we were younger. But that's our spiritual growth.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But, yeah. But yeah, I mean, try when, my understanding and what I think and is to, my responsibility is maintaining the balance for this life that was given to me as a gift from the great creator in the universe. That's my responsibility. And nobody could take that away from me unless I give it away. So I think that that's what I'm always reminded. This is my responsibility to maintain that balance, and getting mad and angry and stuff is not going to maintain that balance of my spirituality. But love and kindness and unconditional love and just sending that energy out, is what I strive for. Some days, I have to back up and go, okay, I need to rethink this thought that's going in my mind, and send out love, and go through meditations or deep breathing, or like, again, hug a tree and, look at the stars and, whatever, just to get you back in balance. And it's tough today when you've got all this energy floating around and, trying to tip you over one way or another. And the news and, Facebook, you hear people's, you see what they're writing and you get a reaction out of that. And it's like, wow, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. But yeah, just, I don't know, sis.
Resistance.
Yeah, yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
the resistance of being reactionary it's hard.
Yeah,
It's really
it is.
hard. I've had it easier than you have. I've been in the forest, away from people for 7 years. I don't have a whole lot of, things to react to,
Right, right. I mean, when you live right in town, across from Safeway.
You gotta,
Yeah.
if you don't react, you might get run over by a car.
Well, the hospital's a couple blocks away. The police department's 2 blocks away.
Yeah, I can say it so easily over here in my, in the forest where I've, had, tons of buffer zone away from people and energies and, but I think it's made things so much more clearer, and, it's easier for me to relate it to other people, because that's, and you could get this kind of peace even, I always say, when I get too overly projected on, all I really have to do is go sit down with a blade of grass, and get my head straight,
Right,
you know,
right.
because that's, the problem is the projection and how
Right.
our intelligence perceives what is, what the projection is. So, by explaining these reactions and in contrast to responses, because responses are, they're a mindful way to react to what you've either heard or experienced. But the reactions, could they could really put you in a bad way if you're not mindful with it. Try to set all the immediate reactions aside, and consider responding, instead of reacting.
Right. I think maybe our next episode, we should get more into the mindfulness and maybe some exercises that they could do, or, something to, because people are like, well, what is mindfulness? How do I obtain mindfulness?
Google it.
Google it.
Google it.
But yeah, it's a real,
it's a real thing. These, these things they really helped me. I mean, I've had a pretty tough time of it. Yeah.
Right. And then on the first episode too, I just want to clarify that, when we talked a lot about emotions and feelings, and we weren't saying don't have emotions or feelings, because that's emotional detachment. You don't want to be, you want to recognize and not react. Right.
Well, the thing is, I thought about that this morning too. To clarify what your feelings are, it's like the check engine light coming on in your car. Pay attention to this. That's what your feelings and emotions are for. They're not for reaction. They're not to react. They're not to react. They're just like to take notice. Check your oil came on. You feel like you've been disrespected. Well, don't react to that. Look at that. Your oil's low. Don't get mad. Do something about your oil being low. If you were insulted, take a look at the intelligence of the person that said those things to you. Maybe that person's intelligence does not encompass this subject. So, they don't even know what they're saying. You don't need to react. Take into consideration the intelligence level of the person that just said whatever they said to you. You don't have to react. It's just feelings and emotions. They're the early warning signs. Take a look at this. Okay, your washer fluid for your windshield wipers is low. You need to take notice of that. Okay, so you felt like you got disrespected by a few words from somebody. Well, was it that person was disrespecting you, or were you in a state of mind that you would only accept that someone was disrespecting you? You have to examine your own intelligence. That's it's an ongoing effort. I wish Scotty was here to beam me off of this mess, but Scotty ain't around, so we've got to muddle through this mess.
Exactly.
And everything that everything that we're learning from the plant medicines, that's where that's where my intelligence that's where my intelligence comes from, is the spiritual beings that I'm learning from, and we're just basically translating what these plant teachers have told us about what's going on today. What these and it's ongoing conversation. It's not just one thing one time. It's like an ongoing conversation. So these
Right,
These
right.
episodes
Yeah.
will be ongoing. We're here
Ah,
for the
yeah,
duration.
exactly. Well, it was, I love doing them, because it's just connecting. It's just connecting, with like-minded people and maybe not like-minded people, but we made a connection one way or another.
We're all human beings,
So
our intelligence levels, are what they
yeah,
are. And, that's, the reason why, the reason why human beings have, all this intelligence and all these languages and all these things is so we can connect with one another.
right. And
You
and
know,
human beings and we've talked about it before. And again, and I've heard John Trudell talk about human beings. What is it? What is a human being? Well, I like that description of, being human is the elements of the Mother Earth. We are part of her elements. We, minerals, and our DNA, is with what the Mother Earth has, we have in our DNA. And the being part of that is the sky, sun, and the universe. So we are connected. And, we are all connected. So that's what we need to kind of focus on, understanding what it is to be a human being, understanding what it means to be a spiritual human being. Those are the things that we need to, humanity needs to come to terms with. Those are the important things, not all this other distractions and illusions and magical wands with words and, get it together, people,
yeah, get it together
Oh,
soon because I'll be moving out to a community near you real soon.
oh God. Oh, I love you, sis. I love you, sis. Uh,
Yeah, I love you, Sarah. This learning process is going to go on and on and on. And, I encourage anyone who has any, questions or things they want to bring up to go ahead and email us at ask.mindfully@gmail.com. And Sarah and I be, happy to address anything that is brought up. So, well, I think we covered it this
I
time.
did.
We're gonna
All right.
sign off on the recording right now, but I'll stay on and we'll talk some more.
All right.
Okay. Hoi.